This investigation is sponsored by Paradox Interactive. On thousands of worlds across the galaxy, crumbling ruins tell the tale of a fallen empire that once ruled over an age of wonders. The remnants of vast cities, where hundreds of millions worked and lived, are overgrown with exotic wildlife. The highest halls of learning, where the collective wisdom of all civilization was preserved, have been ransacked and plundered. And in remote outposts, where the greatest secrets and treasures of the universe were harbored, the vaults have been forgotten, and now lay open and unguarded. It is a time of rediscovery, of immense opportunity and terrible danger, a time that would have seemed impossible during the height of the Star Union. It was the discovery of naturally occurring spatial rifts that first allowed humanity to reach and colonize distant worlds. Once stabilized, these rare cosmic tethers provided a safe and reliable means of faster-than-light travel and sparked a new era of interstellar expansionism. The earliest history of what was then known as the Federal Star Union gradually took on the character of heroic mythology. Its founders and leaders became known as the Star Holders, elevated to an almost saintly status in an emergent national cult. It was the Star Holders who established peace and cooperation amongst the rival colonies, who united mankind's varied cultures and nations and developed the first ships and techniques for traveling across the void. Amongst their greatest achievements was the development of an interstellar network of supply stations, communication arrays, and anchorages that would become known as the Nexus. The Nexus represented the territorial extent of the Star Union, the whole of human civilization. When the last of the most stable rifts had been charted, the Nexus seemed to have reached its natural limit. Expansion gave way to consolidation. The Star Union could not be content with a meager few dozen colonies, however, and eventually, the means of creating artificial spatial rifts was discovered. Enormous gravity bombs deployed to remote star systems by sublight ships expanded the Nexus beyond what was naturally possible. These artificial bridgeheads led to the discovery of further natural rifts, and the Union's expansion efforts skyrocketed. Each day brought the detonation of new artificial rifts and the further exploration of natural ones. The Star Union's rapid spread across the galaxy brought it into conflict with other forms of sentient life. The first of these were the Kirko, an alien hive mind that was later broken and subjugated by the Union's military might. The burden of governing the Kirko, alongside the Union's hundreds and later thousands of other worlds, was too much for the nation's bureaucracy, however. To solve the challenges of galactic governance, the Union deployed the conscientious Omnipresent Regency Engine, or CORE. Upon the election or appointment of a new Star Holder, this individual would be directly connected into CORE, opening their mind to an immense interstellar flow of data. The earliest iterations of CORE were relatively primitive, and some Star Holders were unable to process the scope of available data. As technology advanced, each successive Star Holder was eventually able to process an unfathomable number of decisions each second. It quickly became impossible to discern which administrative processes were being directed by the Star Holders and which were delegated to CORE supporting artificial intelligences. With their apparent ascension into the immense data flow of CORE and superhuman abilities it bestowed, Star Holders were elevated to the status of emperors. The earliest governing bodies and institutions were replaced by a cabal of human advisors known as the Circle. Each member of the Circle was entrusted with a certain aspect of human life, and at first were appointed as emissaries from individual colonies or prominent religions. Megacorporations had flourished under the rule of CORE, and with their ever-growing influence, ultimately overtook every position in the Circle. Paragon Augmentation Laboratories benefited the most from this new arrangement, using its status to seize key positions through most of the Star Union. The company's achievements in extensive bionic implants and genetic enhancements allowed its executives and top-tier customers to be connected to Core. These new societal elites gained an immense edge in their intelligence, efficiency, and even beauty or life expectancy. Compared to this new generation of superhumans, the majority who remained unmodified were reduced to second-class citizens and ultimately insignificance. Some found escape in the drug Black Necks, with those who grew addicted to the ecstatic dreamlike state it created becoming known as spacers. While technically illegal, Black Necks was tolerated by the Star Union as an effective means of keeping its undervalued citizens docile. Degradation and corruption within the Star Union society was reflected in the state of the Nexus itself. The gravity bombs which had made up the foundation of the expansion efforts began creating increasingly unpredictable effects as more and more were detonated across the galaxy. The delicate cosmic tethers on which all faster-than-light travel rested had grown erratic, and predicting their currents became impossible. Controlled detonations of further gravity bombs in carefully calculated locations were intended to reverse these effects, but proved to be only stopgap solutions. The Star Union had relied upon a steady influx of exploitable new worlds to maintain its economy, but with the universe slowly slipping out of reach, its civilization fell into stagnation and decay. The weakest segments of the Nexus were consumed by void storms, where ships were stranded or simply disappeared with frightening regularity. These borderlands became havens for criminals, adventurers, freedom fighters, and all manner of outlanders. But it was the psionics who truly seemed to thrive there. While humans with the ability to communicate telepathically and manipulate matter with the power of their mind had appeared sporadically throughout the history of the Star Union, their numbers swelled in the unstable environments of the so-called Outworlds. The final era of the Star Union was marked by extreme imperialism and militarism. Secessionist movements, be it rebelling Outlanders or uprising Kirko, were answered with overwhelming force. Entire worlds burned in Promethean fire, while vast arsenals of experimental gravity bombs were readied for potential preemptive strikes. Even the emperors themselves became victims of this new barbarism. Their terms were limited to 100 years, after which time each emperor would undergo a procedure known as the merging, where their consciousness was absorbed into Core. Officially, the merging promised to make the emperors immortal, advisors who could continue to guide humanity for all of time. Privately, however, many emperors became wary of the true nature of the merging and sought to escape this fate. Under Carminia, the last empress, the Star Union finally collapsed in a devastating event that would become known as the Cataclysm. In a single instant, a cosmic detonation of unprecedented scope tore the Nexus apart. Some blamed the Outsiders, others Core, but as a dark age fell across the galaxy, survival took priority over any quest for the truth. For 2 centuries, the galaxy persisted in squalor, as meager tyrants and rival groups scrambled over the remnants of the Star Union, cut off from one another and isolated from the rest of the galaxy. Recently, however, the void storms unleashed by the Cataclysm have begun to subside. A new network of spatial rifts has formed, with the epicenter of the Cataclysm at its heart. Factions once confined to their corners of the galaxy are now unbound, free to explore the strange new universe they find themselves within. Many are twisted evolutions of Star Union society, corrupted or transformed to be almost unrecognizable. Others have emerged from the Cataclysm remarkably unchanged, while the origin of some is best left forgotten. As these new powers begin to stir, each has their own understanding of what caused the corruption and collapse of civilization, and each is committed to building a new galaxy in their image. Yet whatever rises from the ashes of the Star Union will remain bound to its memory and its secrets. Thanks to Paradox Interactive for sponsoring this investigation across the ruined worlds of the Star Union. Age of Wonders Planetfall is the latest turn-based strategy game in the critically acclaimed Age of Wonders series. If you're planning to buy Age of Wonders Planetfall so you can lead your people out of the cosmic dark age that has fallen across the galaxy, use our affiliate link in the description. And if you'd like to watch the Templin Institute fight over the remains of the Star Union, be sure to check out twitch.tv/Templin Institute 1 hour after this video goes live for a special launch day livestream of Age of Wonders Planetfall.